G'day, Stu UAVfutures here, and today we're going to be reviewing this. Now this is the AirX frame, the 190 AirX frame from Earth, Air, Fire, Water. It's Australian made and it's a really cool frame. It's got such a minimalistic design and it's super light. I can't wait to chuck it on the bench and we'll give it a review and a build. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so before I go any further, it's worth mentioning that this is the prototype V1 version of the AirX, and I was very lucky to get my hands on this, but there's already been some changes in the V2, which is being released very soon. So we're going to go over everything that I have, and then I'll also talk about the little improvements and stuff that's already been designed in the V2. So we've got our bottom plate here, our brace plate, our little top plate, and also a FPV pod holder as well. The V2 also comes with all your hardware, so your nuts and bolts and standoffs and things like that. I think they're even using titanium in there as well. Alright, so we're going to jump straight in and we're going to look at this top bottom plate first. Alright, so something people are going to notice straight off the bat, that this is a very minimalistic frame. It is designed to be lightweight, high performance, and also durable, so a race winning frame. It's in an X configuration and it's 190 millimeters from motor to motor, and that's pretty special because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. It takes motors from your 1306s, 1806s, and also your 22s in here, so it can take a wide variety of motors. And just a little difference on the V2, I know that these holes have been widened a little bit to allow for some bigger M3 screws to go into them. You've got a couple of little cutouts just in here as well, so they're for your Velcro straps, and you've also got your 36 by 36 sort of standard mounting holes for your nays and things like that. And then you've also got these little holes just here for your standoffs, and the ones across the arms, this is so you can actually brace in your sort of brace plate to make it even stronger. Now, because this is a race design frame, you're going to notice that these arms are a little bit thinner here, and that's going to allow for some more thrust to come from your props because there's less carbon actually blocking the airflow from them. And probably my favorite feature about this frame is for its size, what size prop it can actually run. So it's 190 millimeters, but you can still run your 4-inch props, so of course your 4-inch props, but also your 5-inch. So you can run 5-inch props on this bad boy to make an absolute monster. So this thing should be killing it at the races. Alright, so let's measure this sort of bottom plate just here, and it's coming in at 3.9, so 4 millimeters just there. So it's already a super tough frame, but something that makes it very special is the brace plate. Alright, and speaking of the brace plate, here it is. All the cutouts and things like that are exactly as the same as its bigger brother just here, and it's designed to clip straight on the top. Now this brace plate itself is coming in at 3 millimeters thick, so when this is on top of this thing just here, you're looking at a 4 and 3, I'm a maths genius, a 7 millimeter arm. So that is going to take a huge force to break one of these. So that's how it gets away with having such a thin profile this way, but also such a thick arm. So definitely a huge chunk of carbon in these arms. It's going to be super strong, so it should hold up great in those racing crashes. Now you might be thinking, what's this little thing here? Well, this is actually the top plate, and this is the smallest top plate I have ever seen. It's specially designed for a VTX to fit in the back just here. This top plate is coming in, I think it's 3 millimeters thick, and it's designed again in the very minimalistic sort of style and designed to be lightweight but still very durable. I really like the look of this. Actually, it reminds me just of like a real angry dude here. Here's his eyes and his little his nose and his mouth or something like that. Maybe like a Decepticon symbol or something, I guess. I have a nerdy Transformers t-shirt on in this video anyway, so maybe I'm already thinking Transformers. But this super minimalistic design, I think it looks super cool, and it also is designed to fit perfectly with this FPV pod, which is what we're going to talk about next. And this is the FPV pod that comes with it. This is an early prototype one, so I believe there are some changes on the V2, so some things will be different. It'll be printed out of a different material, but this was just for testing purposes. And this is designed for a HS117 camera to sit just on the top there, but still be protected if you have a bad crash. Now this is designed for a HS117 camera, and if you click this on the top just here, we'll see how much this weighs itself. So it's still fairly light, coming in at only 4 grams, so that's great to see. It's not going to add too much weight but still offer a bit of protection. Now my frame doesn't have any of the hardware or anything that comes with it like that, so I'm just going to use some standoffs and other parts from other quads just to put it together, but we'll have a look at what the whole frame looks like. Rightio. So here's a build, pretty straightforward, super easy to build, didn't take very much time at all, so much nicer to those old frames where we used to have heaps of arms and things to stick in like that, so I really like this for a 5-inch prop build. Now, because the prototype version didn't come with any hardware, I'm using my own standoffs and just some plastic screws and that, just so I can show you how the frame puts together. I don't know how much it's going to weigh when you actually use the hardware included with the proper V2 version, but if we just put this on here, I can tell you how much it is going to weigh all up, and I believe the V2 is even lighter than this one. So this is coming in at 76 grams, but I think they've taken a few bits of carbon out in the V2, so it should be even lighter. And just looking at this, the actual prop clearance between the pillars just here and the props is only about a few millimeters, if I could put that on there. So now that's what I like, because I want to run the biggest size prop I can on the smallest frame that I can have. So it's the smallest footprint with the highest amount of thrust, and I just know this thing is going to be a rocket. Alright, so I guess it's time to build the thing, and straight off the bat I can see it's going to require some careful planning in just here, because we do have a very limited space, but I'm up for the challenge, so it should be good. So I'm going to put it together, build the thing, and show you what it looks like in 3, 2, 1, whoop! Alright, so here it is all built up and finished, and I gotta say this is definitely one of the more interesting reviews that I've had to do, because I've never quite had a pod just like this. So let's talk about the things I did like about this frame, and then some of the things I think we could improve on in the upcoming V2 version of this. So straight off the bat, I love the profile. Like, look at this thing cutting through the air. This thing is going to have such a minimal amount of footprint when it's flying through the air. So I really love the small, compact sort of X looking shape just there. I think that is fantastic. Another thing I really love is just how thick these bottom plates are in just here. So we've got all that carbon in there. I feel like there is a ton of strength in the bottom half of the frame. And I say the bottom half because I'll talk about the top half in a little bit. So the bottom half of the frame, I think, is an absolute tank. And the other thing I really like is just its center of mass. I feel like the majority of it is all focused right here in the middle, except for the 4 motors on the outside. But everything is focused right here in the middle, so it makes turning, makes it really agile and sharp in the air. Right, so there's two sides to every story, and these are some of the things I didn't like about the frame. Now, there's sort of this is sort of in two parts. The first part is all the wires, once it's all built and everything like that, it looks so messy. So I'm really not happy with how it looks, and you've got wires running everywhere. It really doesn't have very much space to build in at all. I found it actually quite difficult, even for me, and I built an Atom to make a really clean build. And the reason when this one looks extra messy is because I used some larger components in here, and that was simply because I actually didn't feel safe enough, like this frame protected the components well enough to risk some of my other VTXs and cameras and things like in here. So that is definitely something I think is a big negative on this frame, is just how well it protects your components inside the actual quad. So I've got my VTX hanging out the side here because I really couldn't find anywhere else for that to go. My other on-way VTX I was thinking about putting in here. It was sort of just dangling at the back, and I definitely didn't feel safe with that one in there, so I was much happier to sort of risk putting this one up in the air, and I would have felt okay if that was going to break. But that's something that I don't think people should have to do, is worry that their components are going to break in sort of a standard crash. So that's why I've got this one in here. And the other thing I thought was really vulnerable in this is the camera, and with it sitting on the top like that, that's going to take a huge impact, and it's probably going to smash your camera out or something like that. I didn't feel like throwing $50 down the drain, especially it's very expensive to get these things shipped over and things like that with the Australian dollar. So I actually covered mine in as much foam as possible, and even these little sort of antenna mounts up here I thought would sort of reduce the impact ever so slightly. Everything to try and protect my antenna if it had a crash. And because it was so vulnerable and things like that, I actually was really cautious when I was flying it through the air. I actually didn't have the confidence to do some crazy punch outs or things like that, because I was worried if I was going to break something, it was going to cost me a lot of money, much more so than some of my other frames where I don't have that worry whatsoever. But that's what's good about having a prototype version of the frame, and I sent the guys an email about some things like that, and they said there is some things in the work in the V2 version of the frame which has totally redesigned sort of this camera mount and things like that to make it so it also really well protects the camera and also really offers great protection for the VTX. So yes, I'm kind of on the fence on this one. In one way, I love sort of the ideas behind it, really small and compact and keeping a great profile through the air, but on the other hand, in this version of the prototype frame, I'm just not confident with how it protects the components, so I wouldn't be happy flying around with this frame and my components. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Earth, Air, Fire, Water actually tackles these issues, and I hear they do have a new sort of thing in development that is going to protect the camera and the VTX all at once, and you can mount it at different parts on the quad as well. So really interested to see how that goes down. But I've only got this frame and I can only review what I've got here. So definitely for me, I don't feel confident flying this one. So I think I'm going to strip this one down because I'm just too worried about protecting the components. Maybe some people are better builders out there than me, or they've got some good 3D printed designs and things like that. But for this current version of the prototype of the frame, I think there's a few things that definitely need to get taken care of. And it sounds like they are getting taken care of in the V2. So there it is, there's my review of the Air X prototype frame from Earth, Air, Fire, Water. Definitely like where it's heading, but I can't wait to see the next revisions of this frame because I definitely think it's got some good things going about it, but also some things we need to improve upon. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying! Like this thing, this is like some little guy just sort of waving to me with his arm out there. That's just what I'm imagining every time I see the aerial out the side like that. Hello! Don't know why he's got an accent. Anyway.